Hello, hello, scholars. So happy to see your amazing faces again. I'm excited because this week's SEL lesson is something I haven't really talked about all too much. Before I tell you exactly what I'm doing, I want you to imagine something. Imagine you see your friend crying. She spilt her milk and now she's upset. What would you do? Think about that. You see your friend crying. She'd spilt her milk. What would you do? Hmm. Well, I don't know about you, but I'd like to think you'd probably try to comfort her in some way. Maybe you'd offer her your milk, or maybe you'd offer to help her clean it up. If you chose either of those options, or maybe there was something else, you're probably showing empathy. So when you show empathy, well, actually, I lied. I don't want to tell you what that is yet. I want you to think about that. Look at the word empathy. What does that mean? Have you heard that word before? Think about that and keep that definition in the back of your head. We're going to watch a video. And while we're watching this video, I want you listening carefully for what empathy means, why it's important to show empathy, and how we can show empathy. All right, listen closely.
Hi friends! Welcome to another social emotional learning video from Mile Marks. Today we will be learning all about empathy. In this video you will learn these three things. 1. What is empathy? 2. Why is empathy important? And 3. How can you practice empathy with others? Ready? Let's get started. So what exactly is empathy? Empathy is when you are able to understand how someone else might be thinking or feeling about a situation. Some people say empathy is like putting yourself in their shoes and trying your best to imagine what they might be going through. Empathy is not about what you would do if you were them or how you are feeling. It's all about the other person. Why is empathy so important? Empathy is important because it helps you know how to best respond to other people. When you have an idea of how someone is feeling, you have a better chance of knowing what to do or say to them that might be helpful. For example, Susie's cat ran away from home last night. Ask yourself, how do you think she might be feeling? Put yourself in her shoes for just a minute. Imagine if you were Susie and you had a cat that you loved and played with every day. Imagine if one day the cat was gone and you didn't know if it was ever coming back. How would that feel? Probably not great. If you were Susie, you'd likely be feeling sad, heartbroken, and very worried. Since you took the time to try to understand what Susie might be feeling, now you can better respond to her and connect with her in a way that is helpful. You could say something such as, "I know how much you love your cat. You must be feeling really sad." Or you could do something nice for Susie, like offer to help put up posters around the neighborhood. Empathy is not only about figuring out how someone is feeling, but also caring enough to do something about it. Practicing empathy makes you a more caring person and a better friend. It brings you closer to people because they feel that you truly understand what they're going through. Empathy works with happy feelings too. If your friend is happy because he made the volleyball team, you can use empathy to be excited with him. Even if you don't really like volleyball, you know how much this means to your friend, and you can truly be happy for him. So how can you start practicing empathy with others? Here are 4 things that you can start doing today. 1. Pay attention to other people's feelings. You can watch people's faces and body language to get an idea of how they might be feeling. You can also listen to their words or the tone of their voice to get clues about what they are feeling or thinking. If you're ever unsure, you can always just ask, "How are you feeling right now?" By paying attention to people's feelings, you will have a better idea about how to interact with them. 2. Think before you speak or act. Ask yourself, how do I think my words or actions are going to make this other person feel? If something you're doing is making other people feel sad or upset, you might want to think about changing that behavior. For example, you may know a joke that you think is really funny, but if you can imagine that it may hurt someone's feelings, it may be best not to share it after all. 3, realize that everyone is different. Just because something is not a big deal to you doesn't mean that it might not be a big deal for someone else. Everyone feels differently about certain situations, and that's okay. Even if you may not feel the same way, you can still be helpful to others by working to understand things from their point of view. 4, stand up for others. Even if there's a situation that has nothing to do with you, there are still ways for you to be helpful. For example, you might see a kid getting bullied or picked on by the other kids in class. Instead of staying out of it, you can use empathy to imagine how he might be feeling. Then you can do something about it and help stand up to the bullies. By using empathy, you can be a hero for other people. That's all we have for you today. I hope you learned a lot and you found this information helpful. If you did, make sure to subscribe, like, and comment below.
Wow. Oof, I just learned so much in those few minutes. So, in our video, they said that empathy is when you're able to understand how someone else might be thinking or feeling. And they also said that empathy is like putting yourself in someone else's shoes. So, let's think about that. Let's go back to our first example. Imagine you spill your milk. Would you want to be ignored or laughed at? Probably not. So, you would want others to show empathy towards you, right? That's why it's important for us to be showing empathy towards others. We put ourselves in their shoes. We try to imagine how they could possibly be feeling, and we make sure we respond to those feelings. So we're going to practice showing empathy by looking at a few more scenarios. So I want you to imagine someone in your class slipped and fell in a puddle. How could you show empathy? Would you try not to laugh? Would you say, don't worry, it's just water? Or would you help them up and ask if they need anything? How would you show empathy? Think about it, think about it. Well, trying not to laugh, I guess that's nice, but I think there's a little more we can do, right? And saying, don't worry, it's just water. Well, I mean, that's not really doing anything for them and their potential feelings. So we can show empathy by helping them up and asking if they need anything. Maybe they actually really hurt themselves and they might need help getting to the nurse's office, or maybe they got a little wet and so now you need to help them find a new sweatshirt. There are so many things that you could do to help. Let's look at one more. You find your friend kicking a plant because she did not make the robotics team. How could you show empathy? Would you roll your eyes? Would you say, you need to calm down? Or would you say, you seem frustrated? Do you want to talk about it? You need to calm down. Well, I'm imagining this friend is very upset right now, right? You need to calm down. But do you think that would help? I don't think so. Rolling your eyes. Well, that's unfortunately just a little rude. We don't want to do that towards our friend. This is our friend we're talking. What? No, we could say, well, you seem frustrated. Do you want to talk about it? Because like we said, if we were in her shoes and you didn't make the robotics team, you might have some feelings about that as well. Or maybe you don't even like robotics, but you didn't make another team. You probably would have some feelings about that. So you can show empathy by lending a listening ear and being willing to just listen as she talks it out. Now, scholars, my challenge for you this week, today, every day, for the rest of your life is to put yourself in others' shoes and show empathy. I know you can do it.